The anime begins with a delivery man handing Mr. Tendo a postcard from his old friend Genma, who announces that he'll soon arrive with his son Ranma. Tendo bursts with excitement, calls for his daughters Kasumi, Nabiki and Akane. Nabiki glances up from a magazine, says Akane is training outside. And moments later Akane storms in, fists flying as she smashes concrete blocks into dust as it owns her money. Nabiki smirks, warns her that boys don't like tomboys. Akane shrugs it off, says she doesn't give a shit. Tendo drops the real news that Ranma isn't just visiting, one of them is supposed to marry him to save the family dojo. Akane explodes, shouting that she refuses to be part of such a ridiculous plan. Meanwhile in Tokyo, chaos unfolds. A red-haired girl fights a giant panda in the streets, shouting that she won't marry anyone. The unbothered panda knocks her out cold and slings her over his shoulder like a sack of rice. Back at the Tendo dojo, the family prepares for their guests. The door opens and there stands a panda alongside the girl. Confusion floods the room. The girl introduces herself as Ranma. The family froze as Ranma was supposed to be a boy. Skeptical and annoyed, Akane decides to take Ranma for a walk around the dojo. A sparring match breaks out. Impressed by Ranma's skills, Akane admits defeat, saying she's glad not to lose to a boy. Later Kasumi insists that Ranma take a bath. When Ranma steps into the hot water, she transforms back into a boy, sending Akane into stunned silence. Afterwards Genma explained about the cursed springs of Junsenkyo in China, where a misstep turns you into whatever drowned there last, Ranma into a girl, and Genma into a panda. To prove it, Genma throws Ranma into the water as he turns into a chick, and Ranma kicks Genma into it as he turned into a grumpy panda, but the hot water turns them back into their selves. Despite everything, Mr. Tendo insists Ranma choose one of the daughters to marry. Kasumi and Nabiki point to Akane. Akane's temper flares, calls Ranma a pervert. Frustrated, Ranma snapped he'd head back to China to break the curse, teasing Akane about her figure, and enraged Akane tosses the dining table onto him, knocking him out cold. Kasumi later reassures Ranma, says Akane isn't as bad as she seems, but the sparks continue to fly when Ranma stumbles upon Akane bathing, and she leaves a handprint on Ranma's cheek. Back with the family, both Ranma and Akane deny any connection, shouting that they can't stand each other. Genma tells Ranma he'll attend Akane's school, much to Akane's annoyance. On their way, Akane instructs Ranma to act like they don't know each other, which he agrees to while calling her violent. They encounter Genma, who Ranma quickly tosses into a river, causing him to turn into a panda. After a playful fight, an elderly woman splashes Ranma with water, transforming him into a girl. Embarrassed, Ranma considers skipping school, but Akane plans to help him transform back. Just then Dr. Tofu arrives, startling Ranma with a skeleton, but she seizes the moment to turn back into a boy. At school, Akane tells Ranma about Tofu, hinting at a crush. As they arrive, a group of boys challenges Akane as usual, but she defeats them. This prompts an introduction from Tatewaki, who explains he's the kendo club's captain and wants to fight Akane for a chance to date her. Ranma steps in, and after a brief scuffle, Tatewaki questions his relationship with Akane. Ranma nonchalantly mentions living with Akane's family, sparking Tatewaki's jealousy. As rain begins, Ranma accidentally transforms into a girl and uses a finger technique to repel Tatewaki, who grabs Ranma, dragging them into the school's storage room. Annoyed by Genma's interference, Ranma regrets the interruption. Akane then arrives, showing concern over a bruise from Tatewaki's kendo stick, which only irritates Ranma further. Late to class, the teacher has Ranma and Akane stand outside. Meanwhile, Nabiki tells Tatewaki that Ranma is Akane's fiancé, infuriating him. As Ranma and Tatewaki clash again, Ranma leads him to the swimming pool where they fall in, and Ranma transforms back into a girl. She uses Tatewaki to hide herself, slamming him to the ground before escaping. Akane finds Ranma on a tree where they bicker, and she threatens to toss the water. Ranma needs to return to normal. Tatewaki returns and Akane challenges him while handing Ranma the water container. Akane flings Tatewaki toward Ranma, but Ranma is still in her girl form. After finally winning the fight, Ranma tells Tatewaki that Ranma is stronger than she is, concealing her true identity. Later we see Ranma training with Genma while Nabiki and Akane discuss her frustrations with Ranma. Eventually Tatewaki asks Nabiki to deliver a love letter to the Ranma. Nabiki gives it to Ranma, who meets Tatewaki as a girl. Tatewaki offers her flowers, confessing his love before departing. Ranma relaxes in a hot spring when Tatewaki suddenly appears, startling him. The next morning, Ranma and Akane head to school, where Tatewaki gives Nabiki a panda plushie to pass along to the pigtailed girl. That's Ranma's female form. Nobiki capitalizes on Tatewaki's crush, selling him photos of female Ranma and Akane. Later Tatewaki gives Ranma the plushie to pass to his love, but Ranma dismisses his advances and tells him to stop pursuing his female form. As Ranma leaves, he's splashed with water and turns into a girl. Tatewaki tries to stop him but ends up hugging female Ranma until Nobiki dumps water on her to return her to normal, allowing Ranma to finally teach Tatewaki a lesson. Tatewaki still believes that male Ranma is hiding female Ranma somewhere, so he challenges Ranma to a fight. Ranma quickly defeats him by exploiting his weak points. Afterward, Akane notices Ranma has photos of her, which Ranma explains were bought by Tatewaki. Akane and Ranma visit Dr. Tofu's clinic, where Tofu tends to Ranma's injuries and gently advises him to be kind to Akane, saying she has a soft side. On their way home, Ranma and Akane argue playfully. Akane sprays Ranma with water, turning him into a girl so she can carry him without drawing attention. The next day, Genma and Ranma spar only to fall into water, turning Genma into a panda and Ranma into a girl. Akane later sprays Ranma with hot water to turn him back, and the two are asked to return a book to Tofu. When Ranma is splashed again, Akane, noticing the change, opens Ranma's shirt, shocking a group of onlookers who now believe the two are engaged. At school, Ranma and Akane create a scheme to expose Tatewaki as a hopeless romantic for Akane and Ranma's female form. Later, Ranma impresses his classmates with his athletic skills, but blushes when Akane joins them, prompting teasing about their relationship. A stray baseball hits Ranma, injuring him, so he and Akane visit Tofu's clinic. They discover Genma working there, and Akane confides that Dr. Tofu is secretly in love with her sister Kasumi. Tofu, nervous around Kasumi, acts clumsy when she arrives to drop off some gifts. After returning home, Ranma notices Akane training intensely and tries to cheer her up, but she's unfazed. They head into the dojo to spar, where Ranma finally tells her she looks cute when she smiles. Flustered, Akane retreats to her room to process Ranma's comment. Ranma tries to tease her, but Akane, blushing, gives him a slap in response. Somewhere else, a wild boar is causing problems, but a boy Ryoga stops the boar with his umbrella. Several people confront Ryoga. Ryoga asks them where he can find Furinkan High School. The people tell Ryoga he must go to Tokyo to find the school. Ryoga understands and departs. As Ryoga walks through a forest, we learn he's searching for Ranma and wants to fight him. Then we cut away to the Tendo household. Nobiki and Kasumi want Ranma to wear girl clothes as he is currently a girl. The trio enters Akane's room to look for clothes for Ranma. Nobiki finds Ranma some clothes, but Ranma says the clothes are tight, which angers Akane. 1 week passes. Ryoga arrives at Furinkan High School and asks a student where he can find Ranma. Meanwhile, we see Ranma and Akane heading to school and arguing. Ryoga notices Ranma and tries fighting him. Ranma remembers that he and Ryoga used to go to the same school together. Ryoga yells at Ranma. He wants to know why Ranma didn't arrive at their past battle. Ranma says he waited for 3 days but Ryoga didn't show up. Ryoga says he arrived on the 4th day but Ranma wasn't there. Ranma wonders why it took Ryoga so long, and we learn Ryoga's lack of direction was the cause. Ryoga vows to destroy Ranma's happiness and gives Ranma a challenge scroll. Ryoga departs to the woods. Meanwhile, Ranma and Akane return to the Tendo household with some goods. A few days later, Ranma fights with Genma over food. Kasumi hands Ranma the challenge scroll Ryoga gave to Ranma. Ranma recalls a past instance. We learn Ranma took several desserts and sandwiches at lunch before Ryoga could. Akane reads the challenge scroll. She learns Ranma and Ryoga's duel was supposed to happen yesterday. Ranma says it's fine since Ryoga is terrible with directions. 1 week passes. Ryoga and Ranma confront each other at one of the school's fields. Ranma tosses Ryoga several bread items and Ryoga's not happy. Ryoga refuses to elaborate on how Ranma ruined his life. He tosses his umbrella at Ranma but Ranma dodges. While Ranma and Ryoga fight, Ryoga's umbrella falls on the ground. Akane tries picking it up but realizes it's heavy. She warns Ranma not to fight Ryoga in close combat. Ranma gets serious and Ryoga rips Ranma's shirt a bit. Ryoga calls Ranma a girl for complaining about his ripped shirt. He leads Ranma to an area with water and Ranma destroys a water fountain. The water hits Ranma and he turns into a girl. Ranma tries fighting Ryoga more and Ryoga notices Ranma's become a girl. Akane arrives and tells Ranma she's a girl. Ranma shares a few words Ryoga's way and Ryoga and her continue fighting. Akane tries fleeing but trips. Ryoga throws some sharp bandanas and his umbrella their way. Ranma uses the umbrella to protect Akane from the bandanas. Ranma flees with Akane afterward. The two head to a rooftop and argue with each other. Ryoga arrives and tries butting in on their conversation. Ranma shares harsh words with Akane and Akane attempts to leave. Ryoga tries using another weapon to harm Ranma, but Ranma knocks it away. The weapon chops off most of Akane's hair as everyone looking shocked. Ranma checks on Akane alongside Ryoga, suggesting she slap them to vent her frustration. Akane slaps them and returns home, reflecting on her past. She remembers a young Tofu treating her wound while Kasumi thanked him, making Tofu blush. Admiring Kasumi's long hair back then, Akane resolved to grow hers out. In the present, Akane tells Kasumi she cut her hair on purpose and asks for help tidying it up. Later, Ranma finds Akane's chopped hair on the rooftop. Feeling guilty and wanting to apologize, he bumps into Akane, now sporting a neater short hairstyle thanks to Kasumi. Together they visit Tofu, who compliments Akane's new look, making her cry. Confused, Tofu worries he upset her, but she assures him she's fine. On the way home, Ranma teases Akane about Tofu's comment. Akane shrugs it off, saying she's accepted that Tofu loves Kasumi. Ranma tells her she looks great with short hair, and Akane thanks him before pushing him into a river, playfully claiming a point over him. Later, Ryoga arrives at the Tendo dojo eager to fight Ranma. He barges into Ranma's room, and Ginma pushes the two outside. Ranma lands in a hot spring and transforms into a girl, yelling at Ryoga for interrupting his sleep. Ryoga explains his grudge. Ranma stood him up in the past, prompting Ryoga to follow him to China. Ranma speculates Ryoga might share a similar transformation curse. As they fight, Akane and Kasumi wake up to investigate. Spotting the commotion, Kasumi gives Akane a dumbbell, which Akane throws at Ryoga, causing him to flee. Ranma chases after Ryoga, finding his clothes nearby, only to encounter a growling dog. Thinking it's Ryoga, Ranma brings it home, while Akane deals with an attacking pig. The two regroup and discuss the animals. Akane reveals the dog belongs to a neighbor, while Ranma realizes the pig isn't ordinary. Ranma takes the pig to the bathroom, and as water hits it, the pig transforms into Ryoga. Furious, Ryoga attacks Ranma, explaining how he fell into Junsenkyo's cursed spring while chasing Ginma. Mistaken for food by the tour guide, Ryoga was boiled in a pot before transforming back into a human. Ranma tries calming him, but Ryoga refuses and attacks again. Ranma sprays him with water, reverting him to pig form. Ryoga bites Ranma and flees toward Akane. Defending the pig, Akane brings Ryoga to her room and falls asleep with him. Ranma sneaks in with water to confront Ryoga, but Ryoga retaliates, shoving Ranma onto Akane. Awakened, Akane slaps Ranma and tosses him out the window. By morning, Kasumi and the others scold Ranma for his behavior. Ranma walking while eating dumplings. Meanwhile, a girl from another school meets with students from Ranma and Akane's school. The students want to fight the girl. The girl attacks them with her ribbon, but Ranma intervenes. Ranma tells the girl to stop. The girl fights Ranma and Ranma defeats her. The girl introduces herself as Kodachi and departs. Ranma checks on the students and learns they're on her school's rhythmic gymnastics team. The students and Ranma depart to the Tendo dojo. The students argue Kodachi will defeat them in their upcoming martial arts rhythmic gymnastics match, so they ask Akane to act as a stand-in. Akane accepts the students' offer. Ranma discusses Akane's decision with Akane. Then Pig Ryoga arrives. Akane refers to Ryoga's pig form as Pichan, as she's unaware that Pichan is Ryoga. Akane struggles to practice for the competition. Ryoga departs to Akane's bathroom. He jumps into a tub of water while Gendo is bathing. Ryoga returns to normal and departs. Meanwhile, Akane's upset that she can't pull anything off. Ryoga arrives and tells Akane he'll help her out. Meanwhile, Kodachi arrives at Akane's home with plans to ambush her. Akane enters her room, and Kodachi attacks, but Akane dodges, leading to a brief fight. During the skirmish, Ranma and Ryoga enter Akane's room, but Kodachi declares Akane a worthy foe and promises to continue their battle later before fleeing. On the dojo rooftop, Ranma accidentally knocks Kodachi unconscious with a water canister. He catches her, and when Kodachi awakens, she becomes infatuated with Ranma. She presents him with black roses that explode, releasing a paralytic drug. With Ranma immobilized, Kodachi attempts to kiss him, but Akane interrupts. Kodachi retreats, declaring she will win Ranma. The next day, Kodachi attacks Akane at school, claiming it's her way of greeting. She then approaches Ranma, but he avoids her. Meanwhile, Kodachi's brother Tatewaki appears with roses for Akane. Ranma clashes with Tatewaki, who misinterprets Kodachi hugging Ranma as a sign of their romance and approves of the relationship. Ranma insists he's engaged to Akane, prompting Kodachi to propose a bet. Whoever wins the competition claims Ranma. Akane is baffled but accepts the challenge. Tatewaki reveals that Kodachi is his younger sister and wishes Akane luck. Back at the dojo, Akane trains with limited help from Ranma, wishing Ryoga were there. Pig Ryoga eventually arrives with goods, and Ranma steps in to assist Akane's training. During practice, Akane trips and twists her ankle. Kasumi suggests Akane might have to withdraw, but Akane refuses. Despite struggling to walk, she continues, only to realize she may need a replacement. Turning to Ranma, Akane and her sisters prepare him to step in. Ryoga splashes Ranma with water, transforming him into a girl, and the group begins intense training for the match. He helps Ranma practice for the martial arts rhythmic gymnastics event. Ranma is in his female form. Akane heads to bed and wonders what happened to Pichan. Remember, Pichan is Ryoga, but Akane doesn't know that. Meanwhile, Ryoga reminds Ranma what's at stake if he loses against Kodachi. Ryoga wants Ranma to lose tomorrow's match so he can get closer to Akane. Ranma understands but tells Ryoga he doesn't plan to fail. Ryoga and Ranma fight all night. Akane wakes up. She notices Ryoga and Ranma are still fighting. Ranma and Akane meet up with Kodachi at the event site. Akane tells Kodachi Ranma will fill in for her, but Kodachi doesn't know that female Ranma and male Ranma same. Meanwhile, Ryoga arrives at the event site. He plans to sabotage Ranma's match. Two girls accidentally splash Ryoga with water, turning him into a pig. At the same time, Kodachi notices several girls nearby. The girls are discussing Ryoga. Kodachi argues Ryoga will help her defeat Ranma. Some time passes. Kodachi and Ranma head to the ring. Tatewaki is in the crowds. The referee introduces Kodachi and Ranma to the audience. The audience doesn't know why female Ranma used male Ranma's name. Seconds later, the crowd, Kodachi, and Tatewaki accept female Ranma's decision. Before they begin, Kodachi binds Ranma and Ryoga together with a metal chain. Ranma's not amused. Then Ichiro explains the rules. Ranma and Kodachi's match begins. Kodachi uses items during her match with Ranma. Akane calls her out for cheating, but the referee allows it. Ranma uses Ryoga to harm Kodachi. She tells Kodachi that she will prevent Kodachi from dating Ranma. Kodachi interrogates Ranma and their match continues. Genma arrives at the venue. He brought a canister of hot water with him. Kodachi grabs the canister with her ribbon. Ranma's worried because she doesn't want to turn into a guy in front of everyone. Kodachi splashes the hot water on Ranma and Ryoga. However, Genma and Akane splash the two with cold water so they can maintain their current forms. Ranma returns to the ring and hurls Kodachi. Kodachi blows a whistle and the ring moves. She lands in the ring. Ranma destroys most of the ring. We learn the ring can move thanks to Kodachi's classmates. Kodachi's classmates depart. With the ring destroyed, Ranma and Kodachi must maintain their balance on the ring's corner posts. After numerous tricks and stunts ensue, Ranma defeats Kodachi. Kodachi admits defeat but refuses to abandon her love for male Ranma. Akane is skating at an ice rink with her friends, who encourage her to join the skating club. While pondering their suggestion over a bowl of soup, the ingredients remind her of Pichan, and she leaves to find him. At the rink, a girl finds Pichan and calls him Charlotte. Meanwhile, Ranma is at a restaurant with two classmates pestering him for information about his female form. Ranma refuses, but their conversation is interrupted when Akane arrives, asking for help to find Pichan. The girl carrying Pichan enters the restaurant, and Ranma points her out. Akane confronts her, but the girl insists Pichan is hers, calling him Charlotte. Her partner Mikado returns Pichan to Akane, explaining that his partner Azusa has a habit of taking cute things. Azusa challenges Akane to a pairs skating match, with Pichan as the prize. One of Akane's friends warns her of Mikado and Azusa's talent, but Akane accepts. Mikado attempts to kiss Akane, but Ranma intervenes. Mikado declares the match will take place in 1 week at Kalka's High. Later, Ranma tells Akane he stopped Mikado because he dislikes womanizers, but Akane insists she could have handled it herself. They discuss the upcoming match with Akane's sisters, and Ryoga arrives offering to be Akane's partner. To settle it, Ranma and Ryoga have an ice skating showdown, but both prove terrible skaters. As Akane helps Ranma train, Azusa interrupts. Akane confronts her, leaving Ranma to fend for himself, Mikado saves Ranma from a fall and attempts to kiss her, but Azusa stops him, reminding him of their upcoming 100-man spar activity. Mikado and Azusa then defeat 100 hockey players on skates. Ranma and Akane learn the match involves martial arts. Meanwhile, Pichon skates across the rink, only to be grabbed by Azusa, who puts a collar on him. Akane retrieves Pichon but struggles to remove the collar, as Azusa claims only her ki can unlock it. Akane vows to win. During training, Mikado saves Ranma from another fall and kisses her. Furious, Ranma storms off to the men's bathroom, transforms back into a boy and vows revenge. He returns to the rink and challenges Mikado, destroying part of the ice in anger. Mikado uses his dance of death technique, but Ranma counters, ultimately landing 518 hits before passing out. Akane declares Ranma the winner, despite Azusa's protests. Azusa tends to an unconscious Mikado while others draw on his face. Back at the Tendo dojo, Ranma reflects on the fight and his anger over being kissed by a guy. Ryoga teases him, revealing the incident to everyone. Embarrassed, Ranma leaves to be alone. Akane finds him and tends to his injuries. They discuss the kiss and Akane advises him not to let his guard down. Ranma pulls her close, and they almost kiss but stop, agreeing to save their first real kiss for someone they truly care about. Their moment is interrupted when Nabiki Genma and others reveal they've been watching. Meanwhile, Mikado vows to make Ranma pay for his defeat. At Callholtz High School, the Charlotte Cup is about to start, and Ryoga wants to participate with Akane. Then Ranma arrives and splashes Ryoga with water. Ryoga turns into Pichon. He tells Ryoga he'll have to watch him compete with Akane. Then Ranma visits Mikado in the boys' dressing room. Mikado tells Ranma he wants to steal Akane's lips by the end of their match. Ranma finds Mikado's desires strange. We cut away to the martial arts ice skating rink. Ichiro shares intel about the competition, the competing schools, and the former champion. Azusa and Mikado enter the rink and the audience cheers. Meanwhile, Ranma tells Akane to stay away from Mikado. Ranma and Akane enter the arena and the match begins. Ichiro tells the audience whoever wins will claim Pichon. Mikado attempts to kiss Akane but Ranma prevents him. Ranma punches Mikado in the gut. Then both groups confront each other. Ranma tells Mikado to leave Akane alone because she's his fiancée. Mikado refuses. He claims he and Azusa are known as the matchbreaker on Ice Duo. Ichiro tells the crowd that Mikado and Azusa will use their couple crusher technique on Ranma and Akane. Mikado and Azusa use their goodbye whirl attack on Akane and Ranma. Mikado says every couple who gets caught up in this tactic has a fallout. Ranma refuses to let go of Akane. He slams into the barricade and protects Akane. Akane checks on Ranma and Mikado speculates Ranma fractured every bone in his body. Akane cries. Ranma stands up but his bones are fractured. Azusa looks at the crowd and realizes Ryoga's gone. Ryoga in his human form is hiding somewhere. He's waiting for his moment to shine. Mikado tells Ranma that he refuses to let him forfeit the match. He wants to steal Akane's lips first. Azusa stops Mikado. She tells him she wants to find Charlotte aka Pichon. Kane stops Ranma from pursuing Mikado. She doesn't want Ranma to overexert himself. Then Ryoga turns the lights off and splashes Ranma with water. Ranma turns into a girl. Ryoga tosses Akane aside as he thought he tossed Ranma away. Ryoga wanted to compete with Akane. While Ryoga and Ranma argue, Mikado ponders female Ranma. Ryoga intervenes and trips Ranma. The audience complains because Ryoga and Ranma aren't attractive enough. Callholt's stylish club arrives with 2 booths. They escort Ryoga and Ranma inside the booth. The students apply makeup on them and change their attire. Ryoga and Ranma exit the booths. Ryoga tosses Ranma at Mikado. He tells Akane to skate with him. Azusa confronts Ryoga about his collar. She argues it's the same as Charlotte's. Akane grows suspicious of Ryoga's hidden identity. Ranma tells Akane she wants to compete. Mikado and Azusa use their goodbye whirl attack on Ranma and Ryoga. Ranma and Ryoga suffer minor injuries. Enraged, Ryoga punches the ice rink. The ice turns into several platforms. Ryoga is concerned Akane will discover his Pichon identity. Ranma tells Ryoga to focus on the match. Then Ranma leaves Ryoga behind to confront Mikado. Ranma tells Mikado that she doesn't like how Mikado operates with females. Mikado thinks Ranma is jealous, so he tells her he treats all women equally. Meanwhile, Ryoga tells Azusa he set Pichon free. Ryoga urges Azusa to forget about Pichon, but Azusa throws Ryoga. Ranma and Ryoga regroup and develop a plan. Mikado falls for their scheme and Ranma and Ryoga send Mikado into the water. They confront Azusa and she tricks them, however Ranma and Ryoga pull through and send Azusa into the water next, after Akane praises the both Azusa and Mikado resurface. Azusa and Mikado attack Ranma and Ryoga argue with each other. The two are in a tight predicament and are centimeters away from falling into the water. Azusa and Mikado join them. Ryoga performs a maneuver leaving Mikado injured and Ranma in the water. Azusa visits Mikado while two male students carry him on a stretcher. They declare Ranma and Ryoga as the victors. Meanwhile Ranma pops out of the water. Remember, only hot water can turn Ranma into a guy again. Ranma and Ryoga fight. Akane enters the rink and tries to stop them. The boys ignore Akane and continue their brawl. During their fight Ryoga cracks the ice, making Akane falls into the water. The boys jump into the water to save Akane, and Ryoga turns into Pichan in the process. Akane wakes up somewhere. Ranma and Pichan are there and update her on what happened. Then suddenly a girl named Shampoo arrives and attacks Ranma. Ranma throws a blanket on top of Shampoo and hides. Shampoo departs to find Ranma. Ranma informs Akane about her history with Shampoo. When Ranma in his female form and Genma in his panda form visit the Chinese Amazon village, Ranma and Genma with a travel guide observe the village's martial arts tournament. Shampoo defeats her opponent while Genma and Ranma accidentally eat the tournament's food prize. The former attacks Ranma because they ate her food. Ranma challenges Shampoo for the food and defeats her. After that Shampoo kisses Ranma on the cheek. The travel guide grabs Ranma and flees. The guide tells Ranma that Shampoo performed the kiss of death on Ranma. That means now Shampoo will kill Ranma at any cost no matter where he goes. Back to present Ranma and head home. They find Shampoo is there because she followed Genma to their home. She doesn't know that male Ranma and female Ranma are same person. Shampoo demands Akane bring out female Ranma but Akane refuses. Chaos ensues and Ranma accidentally knocks Shampoo out. As Shampoo wakes up everyone fears Shampoo is gonna perform kiss of death on Ranma, and Ryoga pushes Ranma towards Shampoo to accept his kiss of death with dignity, but instead Shampoo kisses Ranma on the lips shocking everyone. Enraged Akane throws something at Ranma and having a stare down with Shampoo. Son arrives and Kasumi tells him what's going on. Ranma doesn't appreciate Kasumi telling everyone that he and Shampoo are a couple. Akane tells everyone that she wants to dissolve her engagement with Ranma. Before Son interrogates Ranma, Shampoo interrupts them. Shampoo shows the two a book called Chinese Amazon Sutra. Son can't read it so he hands it to Nabiki to read. Nabiki finds a Japanese translation that says if Shampoo loses to a man she must marry that man. Meanwhile Akane lets out her frustrations on a practice dummy. After Akane sends the dummy afar with a powerful kick, she reflects on Ranma's words at the martial arts ice skating rink competition.
Akane is already engaged to me!
Akane hears Ranma's voice and investigates. She eavesdrops on Ranma discussing Shampoo's homeland's laws with Shampoo. Ranma tries to tell Shampoo that he's not interested in dating her. Shampoo doesn't understand Ranma. Later Ranma reflects on his experiences with Shampoo on the roof. Ryoga splashes Ranma with water and Ranma becomes a female. He doesn't like that Akane is jealous of Ranma. They throw a bucket at each other and Ryoga falls into a nearby pond, turning himself in Pichan. Ranma tells Pichan that Akane's making herself jealous. Ranma learns Akane's behind her. Akane tells Ranma she's not upset because they are no longer fiancés. She takes Pichan and departs. Shampoo arrives and attacks Ranma. Akane looks for Pichan in the morning. Her family knows she's upset about Ranma and Shampoo's connection. She heads to Ranma's room, and finds Ranma is sleeping with Shampoo. Akane splashes Ranma with water turning him into a girl. Shampoo wakes up and attacks Ranma. Later Ranma tries telling Akane the truth while they're heading to school. Akane refuses to listen to him. Meanwhile Ryoga observes the two from afar. Ryoga plans to depart without saying goodbye to Akane. Then Ryoga's dark and good sides try to sway him toward a specific direction. Ryoga's set on leaving but trips. An elderly woman splashes him with water and he becomes Pichan again. Shampoo notices Pichan and comforts him. Shampoo visits Ranma at school and shows him a bento meal she made for him. The meal contains many fruits and vegetables with Pichan as the main dish. Ranma grabs Pichan and checks on him, and Pichan bites Ranma. Akane takes Pichan and comforts him. Then Shampoo marks Akane with the kiss of death. Akane tells Shampoo that she accepts her challenge. Ranma tries to intervene but he gets knocked out. He wakes up sometime afterward and runs around the school and looks for Akane and Shampoo. He hears Pichan's cries and finds Akane lying on the ground. Ranma calls out Akane's name and Akane wakes up seconds later, and she asks Ranma who he is, as Ranma looks confused. Ranma asking Akane what happened between her and Shampoo. Akane explains what happened and walks away from Ranma. She doesn't know who Ranma is. Ranma thinks Akane's developed amnesia. Akane's friends arrive. They want to know how Akane's fight with Shampoo went. Akane tells them it was an easy brawl, but Ranma thinks otherwise. She tells Ranma that she doesn't know who he is. Akane's friends inform Akane about her connection with Ranma. Akane ponders and Ranma takes Pichan somewhere. He pours water on Pichan so he can turn into Ryoga. Ryoga tells Ranma that he saw Shampoo leap over Akane, however he doesn't know what attack Shampoo used to wipe Akane's memory. Ranma takes Akane to Dr. Tofu's office. Tofu examines Akane. He tells Ranma that Shampoo used the Shifa Xiangao Shiatsu technique on her. Tofu says the technique involves the user pressing shiatsu points on their opponent's head using Shampoo. He says the technique can wipe away a person's memory. He tells Ranma he'll need Shampoo to discover a cure. Ranma departs with Akane to find Shampoo. We see Shampoo at Tofu's place as he says Shampoo is his new assistant and will live here for a while. Later Akane arrives home. Akane greets Kasumi and Nabiki. Nabiki and Kasumi can't believe Akane doesn't recognize Ranma. Shampoo hugs Ranma seconds later. Akane attacks Ranma and wonders why she did that. Shampoo tries using her technique on Akane again, but Ranma steals her shampoo. He takes Akane to the restroom to wash her hair with it. Akane attacks Ranma. Tofu arrives and tells Ranma he must perform the technique using the 119 shampoo blend. Tofu tells Ranma he has a recipe book for it. However, Tofu accidentally rips the book up after Kasumi compliments him. Kasumi and Nabiki confront Ranma at night. Ranma tells the girls he's heading to a Chinese pharmacy to buy the 119 shampoo blend. Ranma departs. Ranma spots Shampoo hanging from a tree with the 119 shampoo blend and chases her. Ranma tells Shampoo he'll grant her a specific wish if she gives him the 119 shampoo blend. Shampoo wants Ranma to kill female Ranma for her. Ranma meets with Ryoga. The former reveals he accepted Shampoo's request, however Ranma agreed to half-kill female Ranma. Ranma asks Ryoga to beat him senseless but Ryoga fails. Mr. Tendo and Ginma arrive and beat up Ranma. Akane notices the thrashing and asks them to stop. Ranma explains what's happening to Akane and tells her she isn't cute. Akane starts remembering who he is. Ranma says the same line to Akane numerous times. Akane ponders this remark for several seconds and slaps Ranma in retaliation. Shampoo arrives and learns Akane's memories have returned. She tries to kill Akane but Ranma stops her. Ranma grabs a bucket of water and pours it on himself. He becomes a girl again. Ranma tells Shampoo that male Ranma was a disguise. Shampoo grabs Ranma but stops herself from hitting her. Shampoo cries. Then she bids farewell to Ranma and leaves. Ranma and Ryoga discuss the situation on the roof. Ryoga tells Ranma to turn into a guy and stop Shampoo. Ranma tells Ryoga to stay quiet and admits it'd be a waste to let Shampoo go. And that's where this anime ends. If you enjoyed the video, do like and subscribe to the channel.